here.
I got my screensaver on, so this is going to keep blanking.
All right. I think we're in.
Okay, I'm not showing up on here.
It's let me check.
But I don't know that I have this.
Yeah, it's streaming, so we're good.
I just don't know if I'm going to see the action or whatever you're
Does it show?
not doing anything.
Oops. Or no. No Nonsense Friday right there.
Yeah, that's what I had before, but it's
Just
just.
should come up.
Oh, there we go.
All right.
Okay, so this is where I'll see questions.
Yep, you'll see questions will come on there, and then I'll see stuff on Facebook. So there I am on Facebook, and I'll see if anybody comes on. So far, Rebecca and Bill Shackelford are watching. So, hey guys, good morning. It is Friday, May 24th, and this is what happens when you decide to put a call out really quick and give short notice and see if you can find someone that wants to hang out and talk with you on YouTube and Facebook Live. This is what happens. You get guys like this that come. And so this is David. Some of you may know David. Some of you may not. David is a good friend and brother in Christ, and he attends Northeast Community. And so, David, thanks for coming.
Morning.
All right. So we're going to talk about a few things this morning, a few different things. But the first thing I want to throw out there is, Rebecca is giving a clap for this. Wow. All right. Well, listen, Becky and others who get on here, don't forget too, you give questions or thoughts or comments, and then we'll respond. And if we need to go a different direction, we will. But here's the direction I want to go this morning. Woe is me. Because, David, I didn't realize what it was going to be like when my son turned 18 and graduated. He graduated last Saturday. We'll have his party this Saturday. And now I'm trying to figure out how I navigate through the waters of, I've got a grown man now living in my house who's really starting to make decisions. Now he's still a good kid in the sense that, like, he'll ask us, this or that, which I'm really blessed that he'll say, do you care if I go here? Do you care if I go there? But he's really starting to kind of blossom out. And so I'm struggling with this, and I know he's going to go away to college. But for 18 years, I've watched over him, and I've tried to make sure he lives.
No, so, he's practically a tenant.
Kind of, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about it.
Yeah, I mean, you're parenting. The goal is to stop parenting gradually, over time.
Yeah.
And you're at that.
Yeah. I'm just turning mine. I think, can you turn your volume? Maybe you turn your volume down. Is that? I'm hearing us echo somewhere.
Oh, there we go.
All right, we're good now. Yeah. No, yeah, you're exactly right.
That's. Yeah, it's tough.
Now, is this where
balancing? You're gradually stopping parenting, and he knows that, and you know that. But there's still there's like this trickle where it sort of continues, right?
Yeah.
He still feels obligated to ask questions, permission, all that kind of stuff, and it just gets awkward because he's 18 now.
Yeah. Because he kind of told us last night he was staying at a friend's house. But at the same time, he's like, do you care? So it's kind of like, hey,
And do you ask which friend?
Yeah. And, well, he told us which friend anyway, but just to protect the innocent, I won't, say anything.
Right.
But, yeah, he said friend, and we're like, oh, that's okay. And it's just, it's a little weird navigating through it. So
it'll start feeling like you have a stranger in the house.
Wow.
Because his life it's going to get more and more private. I mean, that's what it's supposed to do.
Yeah. It doesn't feel good at all.
No, it's weird. And it's you have to just kind of feel it out.
Yeah.
It's new water for both of you.
Okay. All right. Well, this new water, I feel like it's, I'm drowning a little bit in it, but we'll figure it out. Okay. Well, that's good. Well, for those of you that have chimed in already here, Naomi's with us, Brandon Westover's with us. Matt's actually watching from somewhere, and he might chime in. Matt, this has nothing to do about you. because you can come back anytime. We're just trying to get some stuff done because Naomi, for instance, last week she posted asking where her Friday BM, whatever she calls this thing. We said maybe that meant bowel movement, but this BM group was last Friday because she wanted her live video. So we can't disappoint our fans, even if it is just one fan. So we're back here. This is David Miller, and I've known David for about 3 years now? 2 years.
Probably 2.
Yeah, 2 years.
Maybe a little over 2.
And David is a good brother in Christ, and but he's got a pretty amazing story. And so I kind of wanted him to share that story a little bit with you guys today. And it's one of those stories where, like, for instance, it's weird because when you come into the Christian church, if you don't have a really neat conversion story, you don't feel like anybody really acknowledges that you got saved. And what I'm trying to say is that, if you had a really horrible life and then Jesus came in and there was this miracle that you were saved out of, people are like, oh, wow, that's amazing. God saved you out of that. But if you just lived a normal life and then one day you realized that Jesus was the Messiah and you started following him and going to the church, people are like, oh, that's not a big deal. Well, David has one of those kind of stories. And so that's why I felt like we might want to share it, if nothing else, to make those of you who don't have an amazing story feel worse about your conversion experience. So, David, can you?
Well, the tricky part about having a day where it was a dramatic shift. So the problem with that is now when I meet people that have sort of like just trickled into the kingdom over time, I can't relate to that because I feel like I don't understand that entrance.
Okay.
But yeah, I was, other than funerals and weddings, I wasn't ever in a church till I was an atheist till I was about 31.
Atheist.
Atheist, agnostic. I'm not sure if it matters.
That's strong because some people grow up in a way that they don't believe, meaning they don't follow or trust, but they still believe. But you're saying you're not even sure if there was a God.
I would say that what I would have probably said was, if there was one, it would sort of be like the Big Bang God.
Okay.
If there is one, he just kind of like kicked it off into motion, but he's not involved.
Okay, so that'd be like a deist,
which I guess would be a deist.
Okay. All right.
I don't know if that's a significant difference between a deist and an atheist or an agnostic. I mean,
yeah.
The glorious part of the thing is that he does interact.
Right.
So that's
So let me ask you this: you're sitting in weddings and funerals, and you're hearing this holy matrimony till death do you part. Oh, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. You're hearing all this stuff. Does any of it ever do anything?
No. Long story short, I was at a family reunion over the weekend. Brian knows some of this, but just to fill in some details. I have relatives that are Jehovah's Witnesses. So I had a great opportunity over the weekend to witness to a couple witnesses.
You witnessed to witnesses.
I was witnessing to witnesses.
Yeah.
So I was rehashing my testimony because the guy asked me, he was trying to figure out where I was coming from. So when I talked about my testimony, something that I forgot about was that I used to look at religion in general, but especially Christianity, as right in line with fairy tales. I used to think that religion was stained glass windows and halos and perfect people, and which is not realistic. But that's sort of the impression that I got, that's what church was all about, was this fantasy land of perfect people and halos and stained glass windows. And I couldn't relate to that.
Okay.
So that's what my conception of religion was until I got saved.
All right. So it wasn't like a Santa Claus belief that somewhere you were just people were faking it. Did you think people were faking it, knowing that it really wasn't?
No, I guess I would have thought they were sincere, but delusional.
Oh, okay.
Like there's no such thing as.
Okay.
I mean, when you see stained glass windows and halos and perfect people, that's not realistic. That's a fantasy.
All right. So they were sincere but delusional.
Yeah, I wouldn't have said that they were faking it.
Yeah. Okay.
That they was a sincerely held belief.
Interesting. Okay. All right. So you're going through life in funerals and weddings, and God's not really doing anything. And so, what really hits home with you finally?
Well, I was 7 or so years into a marriage. I was a drug addict married to an alcoholic. Interesting combination.
Wow, that's pretty. Yeah.
So as you can imagine, there was the
no stained glass
routine.
there.
No the routine fights and
Okay.
and things flying across rooms and screaming and swinging and
you have to be addicted to drugs and an alcoholic in order for that to happen, because that happens in my house sometimes.
It really? No, children can bring out the same.
All right.
So no, I was. There's a lot of factors. One key factor was that my parents divorced when I was 11, and after I got saved, or in the process of me getting saved, I remember thinking that I had sort of made a vow that wasn't going to happen to me, that I was going to do everything in my power to not have a failed marriage. I didn't really know that I had that going, but looking back, I sort of felt that, because that's sort of what got me saved. Was my marriage was a joke. 7 or 8 years into this relationship, it wasn't pretty. I mean, it was a disaster.
Okay.
I was stoned all day, every day. We'd get into fights, and then she would blame me for her weekend binge.
Wow.
I mean, she would take shots at me until I popped, and then she'd say that I'm the reason that she's drinking.
Okay.
It was routine.
Yeah. Yeah.
It wasn't just holidays. It was all the time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, usually it is the guy's fault. I mean, let's face it.
I was very much at fault. I didn't know it, though, and that was another element of me coming to grips with the real world.
Did you care? Like that? Like
no,
when
I mean,
said
she
this
was.
is because of you?
Forgive me, but quite the hag.
Okay.
So I had excuses too.
Okay. All right.
She wasn't pleasant.
All right. Okay.
I mean, I never struck her, but I wanted to.
Okay.
It was pretty ugly. I don't know how to give enough details to explain how horrible it was.
Okay.
So, long story short, well, if there is such a thing, I was building pacemakers at the time. That was my job, to build pacemakers. And I worked in this cardiologist doctor's office. And I was always the first one there. So I would sit in the doctor's waiting room and wait for the coffee. And I was flipping through TV channels. And I stumbled on this guy preaching. And he wasn't talking about halos and stained glass windows and perfect people. He was talking about real people from the Bible.
Okay.
And in particular, I had seen him a couple of times, and he seemed like a normal guy. So he was just getting my attention over a couple weeks or a couple of months, where I just bumped into him and I'd stop and listen to him, and he struck me as a normal guy, not a priest, not a perfect person. So my wife and I had another big fight. Police were called. She was escorted away and all that, just typical
nice
standard Memorial Day weekend.
Were you ever on Cops?
No. Could have been.
Okay.
So that weekend was the first time when it finally sunk into my head that my marriage was a disaster. So she went to live with her sister, took the kids. I was crushed. I was devastated. Hindsight's great. I think the Holy Spirit had obviously been convicting me for months or years.
Right.
But it was finally starting to sink in, because I was realizing that it was a joke. So I think it was Memorial Day weekend. Could be an anniversary coming up here.
Wow.
So Tuesday I go to work, crushed. My wife's and kids are living in somebody else's house again. And I'm making coffee, and I catch this guy again. And this day he was talking about Peter, and it really clicked, because he was describing Peter as 1 minute Christ is praising him for this brilliant thing that he said.
Yeah.
And the next minute he's telling him to get behind me, Satan.
Yeah.
You loser, kind of thing.
Right.
And it registered.
I think that's what the King James says. You loser.
You loser.
You loser, get behind me.
Yeah.
All right.
So I was ready. God had prepared, a long path for me to hear that at that day when I finally realized that I was a loser. And he presented religion as something that losers can be members of. So I signed on.
Wow. Okay.
There was no altar call. I'm sitting in a doctor's waiting room watching the television. He wasn't even given an altar call. Just the Holy Spirit took over.
Wow. Okay. So no lights, fireworks.
No lights, no fireworks.
No voice.
No voice. Just I had surrendered. I knew that everything I was trying wasn't working. And that's when I looked at that, that's when I sort of realized that my vow to not fail, it wasn't working.
Gotcha.
And I needed an alternative.
Okay.
And I just surrendered and said, let's try God.
All right. So you surrender, you try God, and what happens after that? You go to church and you get involved in the greeter team and you become a worship lead. No. What happens after that?
Well, again, I was making pacemakers, which was nice because I'm sitting in a workbench all day. So I tuned into Christian radio and I was getting about 7 hours of Bible study every day.
Through Christian radio.
Through Christian radio.
Okay.
Everybody from Chuck Swindoll to Chuck Smith to Jack Hayford, Charles Stanley, I was a vacuum.
Now listen,
anybody that wanted to talk about God, I wanted to hear what people wanted to talk about.
You wanted to hear. Yeah. So that's hunger.
I starved.
So God obviously did something that day in that waiting room.
Yeah. And plus my dad left when I was 11.
Okay.
So I had this big father vacuum and, God the Father showed up.
Okay.
And I was thrilled
wow.
to have a father for the first time, pretty
All right.
much.
All right. Interesting. So you're getting 7 hours worth of Bible study. And by the way, when Chuck tunes in to watch this later, his last name's pronounced Swindoll, not Swindell. So just so you know that, because I mean, when he hears this, he might get offended. Right. He's written several books. Yeah. But anyway, Becky says you live there. That's so cool. I don't know what she's referring to. Oh, Pasco County. Oh, okay. Becky's responding to Naomi's reply that most of the episodes are from my county, Pasco.
So they're not paying attention to us anymore.
No, they're talking about all kinds of other. Oh, they're talking about cops. When I made the comment about cops, she said most of it's from Pasco County.
So they haven't heard anything I've said.
No, they did. They've heard it. They've heard it all. And they'll go back and listen to it probably 3 or 4 times. They're so into these programs that we put on. Yeah, it's crazy. But I do see Pasco County. I mean, every time I turn on cops, they're in Pasco County. And it's in Florida. Yeah, it's north of Tampa, I think, somewhere north of Tampa. But April and I, when I went to Bible college down there, that's how I know Naomi, or how she knows us, is we went to church with them at a Nazarene church there, Trinity Nazarene Church, which is in, and I can't remember where I lived now. Oh, Newport Richey, Florida. So. But Naomi doesn't live anywhere near there. So if anyone's trying to find her, you'll never.
My YouTube thing isn't changing, so I don't know if I'm missing. I don't know if I even have this on.
Right. Well, sometimes people don't log on YouTube.
There's this little torso with a 1 next to it.
Oh, that might be someone might be logged in, and that might be you too, though.
It could be me.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Okay. Yeah. So you're getting 7 hours of Bible study here on the radio, and you're starting to sense that you have a father now who is filling the void of everything that your father wasn't to you. And so what happens now with your family? What's going on with your family during this time?
Well,
she's still living with her sister.
Well, no, she came back, I don't know, a few days later.
Okay.
I remember going there and trying to apologize or something. But I don't know if that was before or after I got saved. I don't remember if that was like the weekend that she left that I went and found her and talked to her, or was after. I don't remember when, but convinced her to come back, and she came back. She thought I was a little nuts for taking it so serious.
Okay.
She couldn't understand why I was spending 2 hours in church on Sundays. She thought that was a little weird.
Okay. Yeah, that is strange.
So I just grew like crazy and grew constantly.
Okay.
And a year later, she left for the last time. So all during that time.
Are you clean during this time?
Yeah, that was weird. That was part of my testimony to my JW cousin the other day. Was when I explained that I was a drug addict, I said, I never even tried to quit. I didn't even think about quitting. It just stopped. It wasn't an issue. And I was high for 18 years, pretty much all day, every day. And
now
stopped.
All right. Can I just interject?
I didn't even stop.
Right.
God just took it.
Right. So here's my question then, because I know people who come to know Christ, and they struggle and struggle and struggle with an addiction or an issue in their life. So can you at least speak into the idea that some things seem to go like that, and then other things seem to really be problematic? They seem to take time. Can you speak into that at all?
Yeah. Did you hear the door?
I did hear the door, and I don't know if somebody's knocking, like because they want to come in.
It sounded like somebody knocking.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what. I'm going to let you maybe explain that.
All right.
Can you do that while
Sure.
I'm out of here? And then.
So I didn't realize what was going on at the time. So a lot of this is just looking back. And everybody has their own. I mean, God He tailor makes everything for everybody. So first of all, I was smoking cigarettes too. And this has nothing to do with anybody else that smokes cigarettes. That's not really the point. It's just that He didn't deliver me of that. He let that alone. And I struggled with that for like 2 years. And I quit 6 times. But through the process of Him allowing me to go through that on my own, He taught me a bunch of things through that struggle. And I'm only bringing that up because with the drugs thing, looking back, I have a feeling that He delivered me because He knew that I wasn't going to survive that trial. I think He just did me a favor because I don't know that I would have succeeded if He wanted me to deal with it on my own. So the cigarette thing was he left it there just like a good father would. He uses trials, struggles, bumps in the road to help us grow. And that's, if you don't get delivered of something, I think it's because God's using it to help you grow and to trust Him more, things like that. Brian has abandoned me here. I think he went outside. So I really don't know what else to say about that. If he leaves things in your life that are not good for you, it's to use as a tool to continue to help us grow. So you missed that, but it took me 2 years to quit smoking cigarettes.
Oh, okay.
I quit about 6 times.
We all know that's the biggest.
And I'm not saying everybody has to quit. That's not really the point. It's just as I struggled with cigarettes, He taught me stuff and showed me stuff over that whole period. And He was using it to teach me other things.
All right.
With the drugs, I don't think I would have passed that test. So I think He just delivered me.
Okay.
If He'd have left that there for me to struggle with, I probably would have failed.
Gotcha.
So that's
all right.
I don't know what else to say except that's probably what happened.
Okay. So, all right.
Because I was very dependent.
Okay.
If He wouldn't have delivered me, I'd have probably slipped back into it. So He just kind of like wiped that one out for me.
Plus, I get a sense that it may have been because I think God does things sometimes not just for we think it's for our benefit. Like He takes a struggle away. We think it's all about us. And sometimes I think it's for other people. And it might have been that He wanted your ex-wife now for her to see this dramatic change in you so that she had to make a decision too.
Could be.
Now it appears maybe she didn't make the right decision, but she had to make a decision. And so I think sometimes God does that for us too. By the way, that was the sheriff department. They said you were on cops. And
really?
Yeah, they're waiting out there. So whenever you get ready to go, they'll probably.
Well, that's nice of them to let me finish this up.
No, actually, that was Casey from Women's Safe. and she came because she called earlier. And I totally forgot that she was coming. And she asked if we had resources for some of the ladies who might want to, pursue faith. And so I gave a bunch of Bibles and some little pamphlets on, how to put God first and that kind of stuff. So that's what that was. So apologize for
nice little segue to the next subject.
Yeah, right.
Equipping the church for ministry.
Right.
Yeah.
So okay, so you're doing pretty good now. You've kind of walked through all kinds of different churches.
Like I said before, I couldn't get enough, especially after she moved out. I mean, I went to church for the last year of my marriage after I got saved, between when I got saved and she left. It pretty much was a year. I was going to a Reformed Presbyterian church because God hooked me up with a guy that had been through what I was going through. So God brought a guy into my life to help me, that he knew exactly what I was going through because he'd been there.
And that's amazing.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Some people would call it a miracle.
I tear up just thinking about that guy.
Yeah. That's crazy. So
anyway, he was a Reformed Presbyterian, and worse than that, he was First Reformed Presbyterian. So I was weaned in that Calvinist Presbyterian strain. And I was pretty much just sticking to that because I didn't want to aggravate my wife more than she was already being aggravated. So I just kind of kept it at that. Plus, I was getting 6-7 hours of Bible study every day, so I was getting filled. Nice. But then after she left, I was free to dabble in some other churches.
Okay.
And I found out that I don't know who it was, the Gospel Church had a Monday night Bible study, and the Nazarenes had a Tuesday night Bible study, and somebody else had a Wednesday night Bible study. So I was tapping into 5 or 6 different denominations.
Wow.
I didn't know what it meant.
So you were an emergent church person before emergent church ever came on the scene.
Yeah.
Nice.
I didn't know it mattered. After I did that for about 6 months, I started to realize that they didn't like each other, and I thought that was kind of weird.
that is funny. Yeah.
Next thing you know, this guy's bad mouthing that denomination, and those, they're all like taking shots at each other, and I thought that was weird.
Wow.
Because I thought you were either in or out. I didn't know that I didn't know there was sex and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's a problem sometimes.
Yeah, it was weird.
All right.
But God God was using them all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It sounds like he was using them all. All right. Well, let's fast forward then all the way up to present day. So here you are, you're with us at Northeast Community. You've been here for a couple of years now. You're serving in some capacities. You're still continuing to be hungry for the faith and wanting to learn and grow. So let me ask this question then. And if you feel you want to back up and tell some more of your story, that's fine too. Okay. But let me ask you this question. Do you feel, not even feel, do you see the church really as a place? And when I say the church, you can say Northeast Community, you can talk about Northeast Community openly or whatever, because we're open to criticisms as long as they're, ones that make us look really good. So if they make us, if they make us look bad, I mean, that's not good. Right. But all right. So no, we're open to that. So what do you see the church overall and here as a place that is speaking to the lives of people who were in the situation you were in? And is there opportunity for those people to get what you were getting?
God's the same yesterday, today, and that never changes.
Okay.
Some churches are healthier than others. A lot of preachers are Christians. Some aren't. It's kind of like there's quite a variety of problems.
Right.
I don't know if that answers your question.
Well, are you putting me in the non-Christian category?
No, certainly not. I wouldn't still be here for 2 years. No, I'd have been rubbing you the wrong way by now if I found that out. No, there's quite a variety out there, and some of it's healthy, some of it's not. I think a big factor is this is 21st century America, and that complicates things quite a lot.
Okay.
people are free to quit coming to a church. First little offense, they can just stop and go somewhere else. So there's no real, people don't have to commit. And I think 21st century American Christians prefer to just kind of drop in, drop out.
Okay.
I think I've mentioned to you before, I think a lot of Christians look at church as you just punch in on Sunday morning and then you go home and you punch out, and they treat Christianity as showing up for 2 hours on a Sunday. And that's sad.
Yeah.
Because that's not what God wants.
Right.
In my opinion.
Yeah. No, that's a good opinion. So like you said, though, this whole idea of punching a time clock or just showing up on Sunday, in our 21st century, would you say that? So you talked about commitment, the idea that people just don't seem to be committed to, the church. They can come in, they get offended, they leave. We live in a culture who says that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
So how would you speak to that and say it's not okay? Why is it not okay? Because the people may say, well, show me a text in the Bible that says I have to commit to this one church, or how do you get it through people's heads that it is important that they work that stuff out?
It's a good question. I don't know how you get it through people's heads. People,
right.
I mean, that's.
I thought you had the answer.
No, again, another part of my testimony, just to back up for a second, I was an atheist for 31 years. So I knew I was lost. And that's what helps when it's a traumatic thing like that. When it's that dramatic, it's life changing.
Right.
At the same time, I've been in churches where people have been coming to the same church for 30, 40 years, sitting in the same pew,
mm-hmm.
listening to the same style of message, and they're clueless about the whole thing.
Yeah, I hear you.
So I don't understand I don't know how you can spend year after year after year in a church and don't know what Christianity is. But it happens all the time.
Yeah.
Because people just don't plug in.
Right.
So the commitment thing, I mean, I don't understand why God, Christianity, Christ, growth doesn't matter to so many people, because it just doesn't matter to people.
I think that's key, because what I see is the older generation, you look at that, their commitment was based on, we're committed because we're committed. And it doesn't necessarily mean we have to believe in this or we even have to understand it fully. We're committed. But now you walk into our generation and the younger generation, they say, hey, we're not committed to anything unless it does something for us. And when it stops doing something for us, we're out.
And meet my needs. Yeah. Right. And I think that's a 21st century American, even 20th century America had the same problem.
Right. So now you come into the church and you've got people like you who go, I realize my lostness. I realize how much I need Christ. And I realize that he has called me into a relationship with him that's not about my rights. But it's about me dying to self and doing what he's asked me to do.
Serving. He hired me.
That's a good way to look at it. He's been dealing with sin for 6,000 years. Right.
And it's a war. There's a battle.
Mm-hmm.
And he enlisted me.
Yeah. That's a good way to look at it.
I'm serving him in battle, and it's a battle.
Right.
It's a battle to stay pure. It's a battle to keep my edge. And it's a battle to deal with what's going on in the culture and in the world. Mm-hmm. Starts at my family. My main ministry is to my marriage and my children.
Yeah, good point.
So that eats up a lot of time.
Yeah, it does. It does.
And energy.
Yeah.
But it's God's kingdom is big.
Right.
And he needs us to
right.
accomplish what he's trying to accomplish.
Right.
And it's just an honor to serve him. I don't understand why people don't appreciate the chance.
Right. And that's something that we're actually looking at this coming year, and I'll be talking a little bit about it Sunday in the message. But I think the church has done, and we too here at Northeast Community, we've done a disservice to people that we have tried to get them involved in service more, or we've been more proactive to try and get them involved in service than we have about getting them to become disciples of Jesus. And I think that becomes a real problem, because you've got all these people serving and they're doing things for God. And somewhere along the line, they miss that idea that they're supposed to be dying to self and doing the things that Jesus taught them to do. And so now they're serving the church and they feel like they're kind of in, because they feel a little bit of gratification that, well, I did some good things with the church this week. Or
at the same time, serving can go a long way towards growth too.
It can. You're right. You're right. And I don't want to.
Pitching in and plugging in and getting, rolling up your sleeves and getting involved. That'll grow you too.
Right. Yeah. 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 No, you're right. You're right. So let me ask this question then too, and then maybe we can kind of shut down. And if there's any other questions here that come up, we can address them. This is a question about the discipleship aspect of the church. Do you think that churches, so for instance, a family comes here to Northeast Community and they are your normal 21st century family. They've got 6 soccer games to go to this coming week. They've got 3 recitals that they have to attend. They eat dinner somewhere in the middle of that, and they have breakfast once in a while. And then on top of that, they've got some community things that they're volunteering in. And then they show up at church one Sunday and they say, oh, wow, we think we found a church that we really like. And they start coming here, but you see them one Sunday every maybe month or one Sunday every 2 weeks. How do you get to the point where you can help those people see that discipleship and learning and being hungry for God more than all that stuff is what's most important? It's kind of like the Mary Martha thing, the Mary Martha story. So Martha's busy doing all this stuff and Mary's at Jesus' feet, and Jesus says, Mary has chosen what is necessary and what is good, and it will not be taken from her. So these people are out there spending their life doing all this stuff, but one day it's all going to just be gone. None of it's going to last. Christ is the only one that lasts. And those who put their life in him is that. How do you convince people to do that? Not to come to the church. Here's my pet peeve. We don't want to encourage people to come to the church and make the church some kind of prestigious, great thing. How do you convince people that putting their life in Christ and making him the center of their life is more important than all the other stuff?
I have no idea.
Okay, that's great. I'm glad to hear that.
I said it before. I don't know why it's as if people just don't see that it matters.
Yeah. Okay.
And I don't know if it's because I had this nice big crisis. I've had a few, but there was this really dramatic one.
You're not saying we should help people get addicted to things so that they have a crisis.
No, but it just, when Jesus talked about the one that's forgiven much loves much. Mm-hmm. If you've been crushed and you survived that,
right,
it gives you a completely different perspective.
Right.
And that's sort of part of the problem in this country in this day and age, that people are just kind of like smooth sailing and they don't see the need.
Yeah.
I've found dramatically that I have a huge need.
Right.
And I took it serious. And I don't know why others don't.
Yeah.
I'm not being critical. I just don't understand the whole thing. Just don't.
And it's important to, I guess, say also, though, that the crisis experience isn't always wrapped around some kind of physical crisis. There are people whose lives are going really well, but they come to a place where they have to make a choice, that God confronts them face to face and says, listen, you're either following me or you're not. You're either part of my kingdom or you're not a part of my kingdom. And when they make that choice, even though life was kind of going smooth, their life still does a 180, however you look at that. They totally turn around and they face a different way, and they follow after him with total abandonment. And that happens to people. So we're not saying that your life has to be horrible in order to make that decision, but sometimes that seems to help aid along. But I also know people whose lives are horrible, and I speak to them about the gospel, and they say, yeah, that's what I want. And then you talk to them 3 weeks later and their life's still the same shambles. And they're going, yeah, I really need Jesus, but I just can't get out of this. And those are hard for me to watch. I watch those a lot. And it seems like we live in a culture that even people who say they want Jesus, for some reason, they can't get out of there. And I think what you're saying is that God has to do it. I can't do it for them. They can't do it for themselves.
God, yeah, he presents the opportunity. I don't know why I keep thinking of this, but I keep thinking of back when I used to, early on when I would be witnessing to my kids. They'd be in their room playing video games or something, and I said, just pretend. And it only this you'll see by the example why I said what I said. I said, just pretend you're up here playing. If I come up here while you're playing video games and I told you that Michael Jordan was in the living room, you wouldn't finish your game. You would drop the control stick and you would run screaming downstairs to meet Michael Jordan.
Well, I would keep playing the game.
Well, it was a good example for that kid because that was a good,
right.
It was his icon. It was his hero.
Yeah.
And that's the way I look at Christianity. It's Christ, it's God, it's the creator of the universe we're talking about here.
Right.
And he wants to share his life with us.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't I drop my whatever?
Yeah.
And run
right.
and get as much of that as I could.
Yeah. And it's interesting you describe him like that because I think some people get a picture that God's not our hero. He's the guy standing there waiting to just beat us up.
That's a big factor.
Yeah.
People's misunderstanding of who God is and
right.
what he's about and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Some of that comes, I mean, a lot of those issues come from parenting. I mean, if your father was,
yeah, right,
hiding behind the door with a stick, ready to smack you for doing something wrong. I mean,
right.
And that's what I was mentioning before about when I was telling my JW cousin again. So I looking back, I'm glad I was an atheist when I got saved because I didn't have all that screwed up religion to deal with.
Right. That's huge. Yeah.
That's huge.
Right. Sometimes I concern myself about my boys.
I know. That's tricky
because they see. I mean, I know we study the Word of God at home a lot, and we talk about these kind of things.
How do you convince them that they're lost?
I know that's the thing.
It was real clear for me. I was clearly
that's
lost.
The thing.
It's easier to reach somebody on a bar stool than it is in a church.
Right.
The guy that's been sitting there listening to this for 30 years, how are you going to explain to him that he's lost?
Right. And I talk about
tough.
Yeah, April and I pray on a daily basis. We pray for our boys' salvation.
Should kick him out, maybe. make it miserable for
Ryan,
him.
you're 18. You're out. You got to get saved, so you're out of the house. No, he is, but no, that's interesting.
When you grow up in a denomination and you're taught that this is the way God works, whether it's Catholic, Amish, whatever it is,
right?
It's scary
Yeah.
to step outside of that.
Yeah.
And
right.
Try to find the truth
right.
that's being concealed.
Yeah.
That's scary.
And the thing I do for my boys is I try to tell them on a regular basis how messed up they are. Like, what is wrong with you? You have
maybe the congregation can help you with that.
All right. Well, hey, Naomi said when we were talking about Mary and Martha, she said she's definitely a Martha, but she needs to learn to be a Mary. Yeah, I mean, I do think that Mary was being praised for what she did. But I don't think in any way God was trying to beat Martha up or Jesus was trying to beat Martha up. But I do think as people, all of us need to learn to do what is the good thing and what is most necessary. And that is to sit at his feet and learn from him. And then once we've learned from him, man, that lasagna that we're making is going to be the best lasagna we've ever had. I mean, that I've learned over in my life that when I take time to sit at Jesus's feet, not only do I get more done, but the things I do get done are the things that need to get done, and they get done really well because he's doing them on my behalf.
Once I've been fed,
mm-hmm.
Going about the daily chores isn't, you don't complain.
Right.
If you're satisfied.
Right. Yeah.
If Martha would have been filled, she'd have been celebrating that Mary was getting filled.
Yeah.
Going about her day.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Now Matt chimed in. Matt said you can only show them by living the life and sharing the gospel, but living the life gives the reason to share the gospel. And this must be back to our discussion. We were talking about how do you get these people to see this thing. And I think that's a good point. That's a good point. You have to live out that life of love so that they get hungry for the hero. Like you said, you termed the idea of this hero.
That's what Jesus did. He modeled it and it was attractive.
Right.
He didn't twist people's arms. He just showed them what how life can be really fun,
right,
and drew people to him.
Yeah. Very good. Well, if there's any other comments or any other thoughts or questions you have, we're just going to take a couple more minutes, and then we're probably going to be done here for the day. We'll go ahead and log off. So if you have anything, throw it up there, and we'll try to address it. But one thing before we go, I just want to ask David, and that is, do you dye your hair?
Not anymore, no.
Because
I tried. I did. I spent a couple years trying to stop it.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Wow. Now, did you try to stop it because your wife said you're getting gray and this looks horrible on you? Or
no, it was in my 20s. It was just kind of early.
Wow. Wow.
Started a long time ago.
And now that you're in your 30s.
Now that I'm in my 30s, I've surrendered.
Yeah. Okay. You've given over. All right. Well, that's good. Well, you can have this natural look too if you were addicted and you came through a very hard crisis experience and you do all kinds of Bible study. That's what makes you like that. When you're in the Word a lot and you're listening to the wisdom of God, you start to turn white like that.
It's wisdom.
Yeah.
It's signs. It's evidence of wisdom.
That's what we've heard all of our life, and this is living proof that it's wisdom. All right. Well, Becky says David's emoji guy looks just like him.
Yeah.
He does, huh?
Yeah.
Well, Becky, that's probably because he set it up to look just like him. Isn't that what we do with our emojis?
Yeah.
You got comments on YouTube as well?
No.
Oh, you're looking at your emoji to see?
I was going to show you.
Oh, okay. I'm going to get a chance to look at David's emoji and see if
I'm not going to broadcast this, but
okay.
Yeah, there's me.
Oh yeah, that does look like him. Yeah.
Yeah. I get compliments all the time on my
White beard and mustache and everything. Well, Marie likes it, right?
White hair and a white goatee that's the Bitmoji, whatever you want to call it, that sticks out.
Nice. Marie likes it.
The white?
Yeah.
Yeah. She said that's why she married me.
Really?
Yeah. When we first met, Marie's going to kill me for this one.
I don't think she's watching.
We both mentioned that we had been praying for a sign of who we were going to, who we wanted, or what God's sign was going to be.
She asked for Father Time.
She said what she was seeking for was salt and pepper hair.
Really?
Pepper's long gone, but yeah, that's.
I was going to say,
that was her fleece. She wanted a guy with salt and pepper hair.
Wow.
That was kind of lame, but that's what she was. That's what she was seeking.
Nice.
I'm a dead man. Can I sleep at your house?
Yeah. Hey, you can come on over because we've got.
That's going to get around, especially with Becky there.
We should have an extra room because we're kicking Brian out so we can get saved.
There, okay, that works.
So we should be good. All right. Well, I'll tell you what. You guys have a great day, and I appreciate David coming on. And we'll try to do more of this. We'll try to stay more consistent. And Matt obviously will be back maybe next week, but if he's not, we'll try and see if we can pull some other people in. And if Matt is here, maybe we'll just bring guests in because sometimes we do that. So thanks for tuning in, and hope you have a great weekend. I'm going to kill this. So that means, because we don't pay people to do this, we have to kill it ourselves, which means we have dead time where people are listening to us. Like YouTube still's not dead yet.